Kafka. It's also called Apache Kafka. If you are a data tester or ETL tester or a data engineer or in any capacity you are dealing with data on a daily basis, the chances are that you are already been using Kafka or you will start using Kafka very soon, because the Kafka has become worldwide standard for event streaming or data streaming applications. You build a data pipeline, there has to be Kafka element in that. Okay, so in this video we are going to deep dive into the very fundamental working of the Kafka. What happens when you push a message to a Kafka topic? What exactly is a topic? What is offset? What is commit? And how do you pull a message? All those aspects. And what is a consumer group? Most people go wrong around two things: pull a message and commit. And what happens when you don't commit? So we'll deep dive in this video and explain every concept step by step. Watch till the end. We'll also bring up a Kafka server, produce a message, consume a message, produce a plain text and a JSON message, and we consume it and show the working of Kafka platform end to end. Let's jump into action and see in a context. In the traditional DB world, the RDBMS world, it is designed to model the data into things and objects. For example, addresses, employees, and person details, where we store the things and we query them, we update them, and it is very well suited for batch processing. Okay, and what's different in Kafka world? In Kafka world, we model the system as events. Events are nothing but thing that happened. For example, an order was placed, so that's an event. Person's biography changed, first name changed or last name was updated, so then that's another event. Then person's address changed, that's another event. Employee's salary was updated, that's another event. So the events are processed in a sequence or in a stream. Every message counts here. So we process left to right, for example. So event by event we process. Kafka is also called event store. So events, messages, records, they are pretty much the same thing. Let's start with this fundamental question. What exactly is a Kafka topic? Kafka topic is like a postbox. You see the postbox where you and me. Imagine this is you and you are going to drop a letter there. This dropping letter is called producing or pushing a message to the Kafka topic. You did the role of a producer and you dropped a letter and your job is done and you go back home. But you expect that letter to be further processed. And who does this processing? The processing is done by postman 1, postman 2. They are also called consumer 1, consumer 2 in the Kafka world. And when these consumers, they collaborate and work, they are called consumer group. Now imagine postman 1 wants to pick a letter and further process it, sort by postcode, or further process it, deliver it. Okay, so what happens next? This is where it gets interesting. So postman wants to consume and a copy of this message is created. Somebody inside the post box photocopied that message which you dropped and kept it and gave it to consumer 1. Now consumer 1 got that message. Now consumer 2, which is postman 2, wants to pick a letter from that post box, and he goes to the post box and asks for a letter and see exactly. So another copy is created of that message and given to consumer 2. So the topic is like postbox, but it is not exactly a postbox. So there's little difference, the subtle difference you saw here. The photocopy things happened inside the postbox that really doesn't happen in the real postbox. But still, it's a simile, it's an analogy where you can relate to Kafka topic. Now let's see next that copying of that message and giving it to this postman who did that job. See the outer circle? That is done by a Kafka broker. Something like post office manager who manages this copying the message, giving it to the consumer, and it remembers to which consumer which message I gave. So all these are the job of Kafka broker. Now let's move to Kafka topic. Imagine you have in the real life you have a Amazon order topic. As you have seen in the earlier videos, in the Kafka world we model data as events. It is not thing, but it is a thing which happened. Like somebody placed order. In this case, you placed order, and that order has gone to a topic. The topic name is Amazon order topic. And you placed order that is also called producing a message, producing a record. Okay. Now, as soon as there is a consumer attached to that topic and he wants to consume that message, a copy of that message is created and given it to that consumer for further processing. And this is where it gets interesting. What happens next? The offset which is set to that message gets committed. So what does that mean? Is Kafka broker knows that this message has been given to this consumer and it won't give that message again because it has committed this offset. Okay. Now let's see what happened next. And you place another order. So another message or another record goes to the Kafka topic and the consumer is still waiting for another message to process. So the copy is created and the consumer gets that message and starts further processing it here. Okay. And you saw that offset moved from here to here. Now here the offset gets committed. The Kafka broker commits that offset. What does this commit mean? The Kafka broker remembers that I have given this message to as well to this consumer 1. So the offset is committed here. Okay, now the question comes, what happens if there is another consumer comes now and wants a message from this Kafka topic? Same thing happens. So the offset first it will get committed here and the copy of this message will be given to the consumer 2 and it will get committed. Then copy of this message 2 will be given and offset gets committed. So on and so forth. I'm showing you for one consumer, the same thing gets repeated. So Kafka broker manages all this. Okay. Now let's get slightly deeper dive into a message. What exactly is a message or an event? An event has a key value pair, typically a key value pair in Kafka message. So every message goes as a key. Key is something like a number or a string, or it can be complex value also, and value is what exactly the event. Example here, key 1 and someone ordered, the order number is order 1 and someone ordered iPhone which went to the Amazon topic, and this is a plain text message, simple message, and it was produced to that topic and further it was consumed by the consumers. Now this is a JSON message. You see the same, the key is 1 and the value is wrapped in double quotes here. And if you see a complex JSON, this is how it looks. See another order and the value here, and it was placed by John, item is book, the zip code is this one. Now you have learned the basic fundamental working of Kafka, and thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And what's next? The important factor in Kafka when you are doing a ETL testing or data stream testing, the polling bit is very important. That is where most of the people go wrong. I have written an article on Kafka with the fundamental concepts. Go to this youtube.com/ETL clips. Then there are links here, or click more and you scroll down to the link section. Then you find how to do Kafka testing. Testing Kafka isn't like testing. Click on that. It will take to the Medium article. Here it explains in detail what exactly are the topics, partitions and offsets. Okay, the Medium has made it paid. Okay, so what you can do is you can go to this and there is a free link here. The entire page opens up now, so there's no more restrictions. So what you should test and what you shouldn't, and pretty much all the things what we covered: topic, consumer group. Go to this and I'll leave the link in the description below. What do we mean by poll? And what is offsets? We have seen offsets and the counts, but we'll make a deeper dive into it. And what are partitions? What is a commit? What is a consumer group? What is replication factor? And what is retention period? So out of all this, what exactly you have to know, and what if you do not know, you're still okay. You can go ahead with testing or developing Kafka. You don't have to know too much about retention period, replication factor. It is still okay. As a tester, you can still go ahead. But as a developer, you have to know what is polling and what is commit and what is partition. But as a tester, even if you don't know partition, you are still fine. But you have to know how to poll and commit. Otherwise, testing becomes difficult. Okay, and you must know consumer group. This is something a one-off setting. One time you set and forget it for your regression pack. And for the developer, they deal with every day, so they have to know a little bit more in detail. That's what we'll cover in the next topic. We'll bring up a Kafka server and put a message and cover all these concepts there.